Going to give people a few minutes or seconds, I should say, to join here. And I'm super duper excited to talk to you today because I'm passionate about what we're going to be speaking about. So, with that being said, let me start this off by saying if you look right down below, right over here, it says download my free course at ultimatestorytellingformula.com. So, if you would like access to that free course that I am giving away, it's some of my best material that I'm giving away. What I'm going to do, I'm also going to put a QR code on the screen. Last time I put this QR code, someone said it brought me to a Russian propaganda site. So I hope that this does not bring you to a Russian propaganda site. And in order to do so, let me try this out on my own before we get started here. Nope, it works for me. So it should work for you. All right. Anyways, so you can click over there where it says download mine in order to get access to the course. But let's dive into the content today. I want to talk to you about the one mistake you're making with your story. And to kind of tell you about that mistake, I want to share with you how I experienced that mistake. For 6 years of my life, I was bullied every single day. Lived a very lonely life. I was in second grade when it started, and I was in the 8th grade when it ended. And for every day of my life, I woke up and I took a deep breath and I said, God, why do I have to get up today? And I was in a very dark place in my life where every day that I would go to school, I would sit alone. Every day that I would go to school, I was literally beaten. Maybe not every day, but at least once a week or every other week. I couldn't go to the park. Didn't have any friends, and the one friend that I did have was the other outcast. And you ever just felt lonely? And you felt like you didn't matter? And I woke up every day feeling like I didn't matter. Like my voice didn't matter. Because if I used my voice, I was literally beaten for it. That if I talked in school, I was beaten for it. I remember vividly sitting in science class with Miss Williams one day, and I answered a question. And as soon as I got done answering the question, one of the main bullies got out of his seat, walked up to me, and punched me in the face. I ran to the nurse, was crying, because what was happening to me was that what people saw were the visible scars that were left on my skin. But what I believe hurts the most are the things that nobody can see. And for years of my life, I dealt with that. And I was the world's biggest introvert. And I thought I was worthless. I was meaningless. Like I didn't matter. A lot of days I didn't even want to get out of bed. I definitely did not want to go to school. And I say all of this why? Because I didn't value my story. And it wasn't until years later where I began to have the desire to share my story with the world that I realized that all I had been through was actually my superpower. That all that I had been through was the one thing that was going to connect me with people all over the globe. That the things that I had gone through in my life were going to be the same things that was going to enable other people to get through what they were going through. But for so long, for years, I was afraid to use my voice because of judgment, because of shame, because I was scared, because of the fear of rejection. Because if I did speak, I was outcasted. So I'm making this video specifically for the person that has the desire in their heart to share the things that they've been through in their life with the world, but maybe are a little timid, but maybe are a little scared, but maybe don't have the confidence, but maybe feel like they're introverted. That's who this video is for. The person that knows that it's their time to step up to the plate, to show up like they know they've been called to show up, but for some reason isn't showing up that way. And I was there for more than a decade of my life. And I want you to know that that's okay. But I want to encourage you in this video. I want to give you some solutions that I think would really be able to help you overcome who you've allowed yourself to be. Because although it's okay to be who you've been, if you want to become all you can be, you can no longer be who you've been. So the first thing that I want you to understand is that the labels that we place on ourselves are the enemies to greatness. For so many years of my life, I said, nobody loves me. I hate myself. I'm a reject. I'm just the dark-skinned kid that nobody likes. And the thing is that we begin to identify with the labels that we place on ourselves. And the labels that we place on ourselves act as lids to our potential. We can only perform as high as our expectations. So if I expected to be a failure, I was going to be a failure. So for those of you that are listening to me and you're saying, I want to share my story with the world, but I don't have the confidence. That's the issue right there. You're saying, I don't have the confidence. And as long as you continue to say, I don't have the confidence, you will never have the confidence. How do we change this? What we have to begin to do is shift the language. I don't have the confidence yet, but I'm working on it. Massive difference. On one end, we see I don't have confidence as the final answer, but I don't have confidence yet, but I'm working on it. There's room for improvement. There's room for growth. Very subtle shifts in language. But can I be honest with you? The greatest thing that you can do is simply begin to do the thing. My mentor, my coach, Les Brown, he would always say, Devin, you know how speakers get better? I would say, how, sir? He would say, speakers speak. So if you have the desire to begin to share your voice with the world, if you are a coach or a speaker and you want to begin to monetize your story, you simply have to begin to speak. Can I be honest with you? I have a fear that I've been conquering, and that is calling people. People that opt into my lead magnets, I call you. Why? Because I care about you. But if I'm being very honest, it's very scary for me. What if I don't sound right? What if they think I'm a little, what if I come across salesy? And all of these negative demons in my mind try to win me over and keep me where I am. But there's two things that run through my mind, and I want to share them with you. I never shared this before. It's which pain do I want to experience? My mentor once shared to me, he said, Devin, do you know what hell is? I said, sir, what is hell? He said, hell is when you die and you meet the person you could have been. And that person is surrounding your deathbed. And all they're saying is, why did you rob me of all my dreams? And why didn't you do what you could have done on this earth? And why did you allow fear to stop you in your tracks? Why did you allow all of these things to stop you from doing what you know you were called to do? And all of those ghosts of who you could have been are surrounding your bed. To me, that's hell. And that's one pain that I could experience. And I compare that pain with the pain of picking up the phone and calling somebody and potentially coming across as, a salesman. Choose the pain. So for you, what is the pain that you are going to choose? Because you have the pain of potentially looking stupid on camera, maybe saying filler words, stumbling and bumbling over your words, or you can deal with the pain of regret, which is inevitably going to come if you don't step into the person that you know God called you to be. Jim Rohn once said a quote. He said, we all pay a price. We either pay the price of discipline or regret. The only difference is that discipline weighs ounces and regret weighs tons. See, there's something special within you that the world is silently begging for. I once heard a quote that said that the story that you're sitting on is the story that somebody else is waiting on. There's somebody literally on their knees begging to hear the story and the experiences of what you've been through. My friend Kevin once told me a story. He said, Devin, all my life I grew up as a reject. I was addicted to drugs. I was a thief. I was the kid that everybody's parents looked at and said, honey, you don't want to grow up to be like Kevin. And as I grew older, it just got worse and worse. I began to steal more. I began to do more drugs, get addicted to alcohol. And it got to the point in my life where I could no longer continue looking myself in the mirror, because the person that was looking in the mirror was not who Kevin was. And he said to me, Devin, I had to check myself into a rehab facility, as hard as it was for me and my ego. I had to do it. I had to try something else, because I knew that I could no longer continue to live the life that I was living. How many of you have been in that position? Maybe that's you now. I don't know. So he checked himself into the rehab facility, and one day he just decided to look up motivational videos on YouTube. And he began to watch motivational videos. Nothing changed. But after a month, he started to notice something. He started to become slightly more optimistic. He started to become a little bit more positive. He started to help people a little bit more. His perspective on life started to change a little bit. And he stopped and he said, well, what am I doing? He said, I'm watching positive videos. So it got to the point eventually in about 3 months where Kevin had got to the point where he could check himself out of the rehab facility, go rent his own apartment, and begin to work. And he sat there on his couch one day. He said, Devin, I sat there with my fingers locked on my chin. And I just began to reflect. And I asked myself the question. He said, how did you transform? And he said, Devin, it hit me. The reason I had been able to transform was because of other people's stories. By listening to other people's messages about how they had got through what I had got through, it enabled me to free myself. Listening to other people's voices, other people's stories. And he said, Devin, at this moment, I made the decision that despite being the reject, despite not making $1 billion like everybody else on social media, despite not being super successful, despite not having crap, that I was going to do for other people what other people had done for me. See, here's the thing that Kevin realized. You are perfectly positioned to help the person that you once were. So Kevin began posting YouTube videos. Kevin began posting Facebook videos. He began doing lives. He started doing all of these things. And for months, nobody watched Kevin's videos. And he sat there time and time again and said, should I even continue doing this? Nobody's watching it. He felt like a reject. He felt like nobody cared. He felt like it was a waste of time. And then one day he got a call. It came from an unknown number. Kevin wasn't going to answer it. He put the phone down next to him on the couch. But something spoke to him within him that said, pick up the phone. Kevin picked up the phone. He said, hello. There was a woman on the other line. She said, Kevin? He said, yes, who is this? She said, Kevin, it's me. He said, I'm sorry, but I don't know who you are. She said, Kevin, it's me from the rehab. And at that moment, it hit him that it was a woman that he had become friends with in the rehab, but ever since he left the rehab, he no longer kept in touch with her. And he said, oh my goodness, how are you? So good to hear from you. And she cut him off. She said, Kevin, I need to say something, Kevin. And he heard her voice. And he said, yeah, what's going on? She said, Kevin, I'm about to do something. But before I do it, I wanted to call you. Because I knew that if there was one person on this planet that could talk me out of doing what I'm about to do, Kevin, it would be you. And he said, well, what are you talking about? And she said, Kevin, before I take my life, I wanted to call you. Because if there was one person that could talk me out of it, I knew it could be you. Could you imagine being in Kevin's shoes? Kevin just said, well, why'd you call me? Out of all the people in this world, why did you call me? And you know what she said? She said, because I've been listening to your story. I've told this story I don't know how many times, but I'm on the verge of getting very emotional as I share this story. Because guess what happened? Kevin was able to save that woman. And that woman is still here because of Kevin's willingness to share his story. That woman is still alive. So my question for you, friends, we live in this Facebook world. Got a little teary-eyed. We live in this Facebook, Instagram, YouTube world where everybody's talking about let's make $1 million. But what about the one person that your story can save? Literally save. And if you continue to say, I'm too scared, I don't have the confidence, I need to put makeup on. If you continue to be who you've always been, you will rob people of becoming all they can become. But you can literally save somebody because of your willingness to show up imperfect. So I don't know who needed to hear this message tonight, but I'm here for you. I want you to download this course right here for free. And if you really want some support, I will support you on a greater scale. And I'm very passionate about this because I know that the impact that you can have with your voice if you're just willing to show up. Be imperfect and be you. So I hope you found this message. Man, this really just resonated with me so much today in my heart. A little overwhelming, if I'm being quite honest. But I hope you resonated with this message, took something away from it, and begin to show up as God called you to show up. So have a good